Hello, Country Changers. Welcome to another month where we are profiling Wagga Wagga this time around. And I can't believe it's March already. The year has flown, but it also means we are also more than halfway through our feature months of profiling Riverina towns. And this month, talking about Wagga Wagga, it's more of a city than a town, to be honest, in terms of all the facilities that it has. And today we're having a chat with Jennifer Hand, who moved to Wagga with her family. Was it for 12 years ago, Jennifer?
Yeah, it's 12 years ago. Yeah. So I met my husband in Wollongong, and he was from Wagga. So we dated for about 12 months and went back and forth up and down the Hume Highway. And once we got married, I moved out here. So my job was transferable, where he has his business set up here in Wagga. So it was really the logical move for us at the time. And I remember thinking, well, we'll be here for a couple of years and then we'll move back to Wollongong. But now 12 years later and 3 children, we're not heading back to the coast anytime soon. So we're very well established in this city.
Look, we hear that a lot. People think they're just going to come for a little 1-2 year reprieve, do something like their job contract, and then they end up staying and having grandkids. In terms of Wagga Wagga's location, it's when you look at the whole of the Riverina, which is a massive, massive area, that, a rough draw around it would be sort of that whole area, maybe not as far as that. But Wagga's really quite central, and which is great, classifying itself as an inland city. You can see Canberra in relation to Canberra. It's about a 2-hour drive, 2.5 from memory.
About 2.5, I'd say.
But then you've got a whole bunch of other beautiful townships around it. If you can just share with us a little bit about Wagga as an inland city, both we'll start with as a parent. What is it like raising kids in Wagga?
Yeah, well, we have 3 primary school age children now, and it is just so easy. And I talk to loads of people about this, that, there's no such thing as a commute in Wagga. So it's literally 10 minutes to everywhere you want to go. So I can leave my house and drop the children at school and be in the office within 15 minutes. And normally pick up a coffee along the way. So it's certainly really easy. There's great sporting opportunities for the children, plus loads of arts and cultural opportunities as well. So they do various different activities in the afternoons after school. And that's also simple and easy to get around to, because everything's located centrally in town. So it's great, and the school community is fantastic, and they have loads of friends, and it's a really good place to raise your kids. It's still got that sense of freedom and opportunity, where they're not too frightened to go for a walk around the block or ride their bike around to their friend's house. It still has that relative safety of that big country town, but living in a large regional city.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in terms of other facilities, apart from the shops, you do have those major department stores. But in terms of healthcare, just tell me a little bit about accessibility there, because Wagga Wagga Base Hospital went under an expansion and redevelopment. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that's been in the community?
Yeah, well, the hospital basically finished off its major redevelopment last year, and now just finalising the major multi-storey car park that's being established at the moment, which will be a huge advantage, because the hospital itself is right in the middle of our city. So there's access to a whole plethora of allied health services, plus acute services as well. So and it's also not only takes in patients from the Wagga area, but further afield all the way out in a circumference of a couple of hours. So people do travel over from Griffith and beyond. So we are that centralised hub of medical services, and you can get specialists in all different areas. If they're not already based in Wagga and have a practice here, they do fly in and spend a couple of days in Wagga and then fly back out. So there's certainly a lot of different support that we can have here in the hospital area.
Yeah, and I know from speaking with lots of people who are researching country changes or tree changes that access to healthcare is really important, and the fact that it feeds and supports so many other regional towns within the area is really awesome as well. Now, you've moved from Wollongong, which, you know, by all rights, as a regional town. Did you have any misconceptions or concerns when you were looking at relocating to Wagga? What were your biggest fears or barriers?
Yeah, well, I guess I felt as though I was sort of moving away from that closeness and opportunity that's afforded in a capital city. So being in Wollongong, you know, you're only an hour away from Sydney, so it's very accessible. And I did think moving out here that it would hamper my ability for career progression. But certainly that's not been the case. It's just gone from strength to strength, which is really amazing.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Because you do have a couple of important roles in the community.
Yeah. So I'm the general manager for Southern Cross Austereo. So we're a national company. So we represent the brands of Hit, Triple M, Listener, and Channel 10 Television. And I have a team of 14 people here. We broadcast live from our studios every day of the week. And we're really hyper local. So we're entrenched in the community. We support, entertain and educate our listeners. And it's a really important role. I think the radio station's essentially such a pivotal part of a local community, and it's a real privilege to be involved with SCA, and it's also given me the opportunity to work in Wagga but be part of a national team. So I have a lot of exposure to different roles within our business, and certainly within COVID over the last couple of years, it's just proven that it doesn't matter where you sit in the country geographically, you can still actually be part of what's happening in the metro markets. So there's a lot of opportunity internally for that as well. So we've got a great little team here, and thriving at this point, which is great.
And I think that's really important with so many regional centres having their local media news outlets shut down. It's great that you guys still have a physical presence there. And I, as a former journalist, I also know that it's a great way to meet people and businesses, which kind of segues into the other hat that you wear as the president of the Business Chamber. Are you able to tell us a little bit about your role there?
Yeah, I guess personally, I've always been really customer focused, and, having dealt with clients professionally for many, many years, it really is something that I'm passionate about. So I became a board director of the Business Chamber several years ago, and then in June last year was appointed as the president of the Business Chamber here. And, we have such a strong local chamber that advocates for our members. We also educate and network. Networking and bringing people together is a huge part of what we do, because we have members that are either sole traders, so they're working remotely at home by themselves, and don't have that exposure to the wider business community. So they're looking for people to come together and share ideas and concepts, and then on top of that, we might have much larger organisations similar to ours, where we have a whole group of people who are keen to come along and to be part of the different activities that the Chamber puts on each month. So, we have about 250 active members, and we do 4 events a month. So a business breakfast for new members, we do a business after hours, a drop-in drinks, and these are really well patronised in the local community, because people are really keen to come along and get to know each other and share and support ideas.
Yeah, and I think this can be said for across the whole of the Riverina. There's so much innovation and development happening. Wagga's spearheading a lot of that development and innovation. As president of the chamber, what are some of the more exciting projects that you're seeing, or in terms of not necessarily specific businesses, but what observations you made over the past 4.5 years or 12 years that you've thought, Wagga's really led that charge, or I guess really changed in its approach to business?
Yeah, well, I guess from my perspective, both personally and professionally, Wagga has changed so much in the past 10 years. First moving here, there was the mire, and there were stores about, but certainly not to the level of what there are now. There's fantastic restaurants and cafes, wine bars, plus the boutiques. And I know when I have family and friends come to visit, they love shopping here more than shopping in the city. You can easily walk along from Baylor Street to Fitzmaurice Street and get things that you find it difficult to get when you're having to walk around the city for a long period of time. We've really come a long way. And I do think it's, I often say that it's kind of like people of our generation who were from Wagga originally, but then moved away to Sydney and Melbourne, and then have come back to raise their families and have brought back all of these amazing ideas and concepts that are really flourishing in the city at the moment.
Yeah, and we're also seeing since COVID a lot of people bringing their jobs with them, so making that tree change and country change and just literally taking their work computer with them, and eventually transitioning into that community and bringing, like you say, those skills to other community groups or other workplaces, which is desperately appreciated, I think, in terms of you thinking into that area. I know from an education perspective, there are some opportunities within Wagga itself. Are you able to tell us a little bit about the higher education as well as what the schools are like?
Yeah, well, I think there is such a fantastic offering of schools in the region, from, everything from primary school up. There's a lot of choice. So whether you're going through the public system, the Catholic system, or the private system, there is a lot of choice. And that then leads into the ability to have your children educated here at a tertiary level. So with CSU, they've really expanded their offering in terms of the courses that they offer, which is fantastic. And then obviously, we have the University of Notre Dame here too. So we're training medical students and bringing them back into the country, which is a really important thing too, because, I think children, they grow up and they want to go off to the big metro cities, but we need to bring them back so that they're coming back and they're staying and they're entrenching themselves back into the country life, so that we have that longevity of resources and professional services here in our city.
Yeah, and those training pathways are really important, specifically in that medical space, so that opportunities for students to further their studies or start their studies medically, but other professions as well.
Yeah.
In terms of, you guys personally as a family or as you as an individual, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing in your downtime that sort of really, because you've got so much on your doorstep in Wagga?
Yeah, we really do. And whether it's, taking the dog for a run down along the river, or just going out for lunch, or we go out for dinner a lot as a family. But my husband's family also have a farm about 50 minutes away toward Tumbarumba, and our children love going there. So they get that country lifestyle of being able to, ride motorbikes and play with the animals, but still living in a big inland city. So and everything's close by. I mean, nothing's too far. You can go to Canberra for the day. You can drive down to Albury, which is just over an hour away, and you've got Griffith, not too far. So, there's lots of things that we can do in the area. I know I was in Tumut yesterday for work, and it's just beautiful at the moment. And again, that town is flourishing. The whole main street is full of new businesses. There's not a vacant shop front. So there's it's not only the Wagga as a city, but the outlying towns are really, really coming on, which is fantastic. So, yeah, there's loads of things to do.
Yeah, look, and my absolute favourite thing about the Riverina is how diverse it is, from the Snowy Valleys that you were just talking about with Tumbarumba, Tumut, etc., right through to the Hay Plains, which, you know, is just a spectacular drive through the river out west. West Wyalong, all of those towns, all of those regions offer something really unique and diverse, and being able to establish yourself in a place like Wagga, which is that inland city with all of those business opportunities and access to facilities. I think more and more people are realising the benefit of positioning themselves there.
Yeah, and I think too, there's so many major events that come to Wagga, and more are coming here as we promote our city and the benefits of coming and staying. You know, it's an easy drive if you've got a conference. It's an easy drive for people from Sydney and Melbourne. It's that centralised area where people can come and meet, but then also the major events that we've got on. I mean, we've just come off the back of having the Country Championships race day, the Food and Wine Festival, the major state touch football championships for the junior touch, you know, that alone, and then moving into some other major sporting events in the coming weeks and months. So the NRL game that's coming in the 9th of April. We're also hosting this year the State Academy of Sport Games in April. So that's bringing 4,000 people to the community. So again, there's just so much on offer, which is great for all of our retailers, our hospitality venues, which have really struggled in the past 12 months, like they have everywhere. And so, yeah, bringing all of that new visitor economy into our city and letting them have a taste of it, and then hopefully coming back for a holiday with their family.
Yeah, we hear back saying people did just come for a visit, whether it be through on a holiday or a road trip or visiting some friends and family, and they just fell in love with the area. So you definitely get that. And like you said, Wagga's sport mad. A lot of sporting areas have come from that town. So if you're a sport enthusiast, don't worry. You've also got Melbourne, just a 4 or 5 hour drive, and Sydney about the same as well. Depending on the traffic in the cities, you're fine getting out. But yeah, I think having all of that on your doorstep, plus obviously the airport to be able to fly in and out of major capital cities, but as well as other regions, direct flights at various times a week, including the Sunshine Coast and Tamworth. I think I can't even remember all the locations, but you're definitely connected. Was there anything else that you'd like to add about your experience or advice for people interested in making a country change to Wagga?
Look, I think that there's, you know, now more than ever, since what the last couple of years has shown us with COVID and being isolated and whatnot, is that it doesn't matter where you are, you can still have that fantastic job and that great career, yet it's coupled with the lower cost of living in terms of housing. It's affordable, it's easy to get around, it's great for the kids. There's just so much on offer in a city like Wagga, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing some of your experiences and knowledge from the perspective of the Chamber President. For anyone interested in finding out more information about a country change, you can head to the website countrychange.com.au. And of course, as always, follow us on social media. Get to know some of the locals who share their experiences every month with us through our various content of webinars and articles, and who just love the region so much that they do volunteer a lot of their time in promoting it. So thank you again, Jennifer, for giving us your time this afternoon and sharing us your experience.
Thank you so much, Laticia. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.